Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending a part of your day with us. My name is Carson Langenfelder. I am the COO of MLA Move Language Ahead, and this is MLA Kitchen. We are so happy to have you sharing a part of your day with us. We've been doing this series now for a couple weeks here, where we can come together from around the globe and celebrate a common culture, which is food, and the feeling that it is when we get to share our dishes with one another. We're so happy to have a really special guest with us today. We are joined from Argentina with Alex Ryncarz. How are you, Alex, today?
Good morning, Carson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I had a little early morning dancing. We had a nice music to get us started. And now
I actually love the song choices that you were playing. They were great. I was dancing as well.
Good. I think we've worked up an appetite with a little bit of chair dancing this morning.
Exactly.
So tell us exactly where you're joining us from. I think you're in Argentina, but what city?
Okay, exactly. So I'm actually in the country of Argentina, in the capital city, which is going to be Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, if you look at it as a clock, let's say more or less, I would be in a neighborhood maybe about 7 or 8 o'clock. The neighborhood is Mataderos. So this is a traditional neighborhood of where they have a lot of old traditional gauchos, which are the Argentine cowboys. So I'm in the neighborhood with the best meat that you can find in Argentina.
Well, that's awesome, Alex. So this is our first time taking MLA's Kitchen down to South America. Tell us, how are you associated with MLA? How did you come to know the company?
Exactly. So I've actually been in Argentina for the last 7 years. I've been working for a educational tourism company. The name of the company is Fase Dos, or in English, Phase 2, I'd say. We actually specialize in educational tourism for private secondary schools. So there are a lot of schools here that are bilingual. Obviously nowadays, we're all starting to learn that the importance of language is so key worldwide. So we actually have a lot of secondary schools that want to go to the United States, they want to go to England, and they want to study England. So with my company, we work with the schools, and we actually work with MLA. You guys, we actually send a lot of our students to the campuses in London and to the campuses in the United States.
Well, we're so happy to have a great partnership with Phase 2 Education from down in Argentina. MLA's mission is to become a more global company, so that way we can all have our commonality in English language. And you guys have been such great partners. And we're really excited because today we're cooking empanadas, which is one of my personal favorite dishes. But tell me a little bit about your history with empanadas and why did you choose this dish today?
Okay, perfect. So, the thing in Argentina is, although the American barbecue, so I'm originally from California, the American barbecue, everyone loves it. I'm a California boy, I love the barbecue. But here in Argentina, they do big, what they call asados. So that's where there's a barbecue, let's say the style of the United States, but times 10. Okay, so a lot of meat, a lot of food on the grill, and normally before you have your meat, you would have an empanada. So the empanada is going to be your first plate. If you go to a restaurant and order 3 plates, you get the appetizer, which would be the empanada, your main plate, which would be some sort of meat or something along those lines, and then your dessert at the end. So the Argentine empanada is very typical as well. Where this empanada comes from, this is a recipe from Salta. That would be one of the provinces in Argentina, and this is very typical for them.
Well, that's awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. We'll start with the ingredients, but before we do this, and I'll say this a couple times throughout the webinar today, but at the end of the webinar today, you will get an email from MLA. It will include all of the recipes. So all of the ingredients, all of the steps and preparations with the measurements, the degrees and everything. So don't worry about taking too many notes. Sit back and relax. Let's watch Alex cook today, and then we're going to send out a full recipe at the end of today's webinar. Okay, so let me go back here and we can share with our attendees today what our ingredient list is going to be today. You want to walk us through our ingredients?
Perfect. So the ingredients are very simple, right? You would like to get, first you need your meat, okay? Now the typical one that we're going to be making today is going to be with chopped steak, okay? So if you guys can see here, you can go to my screen. We're going to show you, I've already chopped a few little pieces, but we're going to have steak. After that, we're going to go to the vegetables, okay? Now remember, today is the traditional empanada, but this is really good for you guys at home, however it is that you want to make it. Maybe you don't like meat, You can use chicken, you can use vegetables. There's a bunch of varieties. But today's recipe, we're gonna have meat. We're going to have red bell peppers, so a red bell pepper, or you can use a green one. We're going to as well use some onions as well as olives. So olives, onions, bell peppers, and meat, more or less. And those are the basic ingredients, very simple.
Sounds fantastic. All right, so here we go. Let me go back now. Don't forget, guys, we're going to send the full recipe with all of those list of ingredients. All of the measurements will be coming to you in an email. So now we'll come back here and we'll let Alex go ahead with our first steps.
Perfect. So again, I'd like to show you guys just a little bit the size of the meat, right? We want to have meat that's very thin, okay? And your idea with the thin meat is that you're going to chop it in cubes, okay? So when I say cubes, to give you guys a bit of an idea, the idea would be for the meat, it's always better to go small, but if you want a good recognition, a good size, let's say the size of your thumbnail, yeah? So here we go, I've got this meat already all chopped up for you guys, otherwise it'd take too long. So just nice small cuts, yeah?
And Alex, if we can't get a piece of like buttock steak that we're cutting up, we could also use ground beef, correct?
Exactly, so the ground beef is very typical, very common as well, correct.
That's great.
What we're gonna wanna do is add a bit of olive oil to our pan, yeah? And we're going to start at maybe a medium heat, let's say, and we're gonna start to cook the meat. Next, we're gonna go to the vegetables. Here, I've already started to chop up some bell peppers. And with the bell peppers and the vegetable, I'm gonna say not the size of your thumb, but maybe the size of your pinky nail, right? So a little bit smaller for the vegetable. The meat, it's good to be big, but the vegetables we want nice and small.
So these are going to be your bell peppers and the onions that we had in our recipe.
Exactly. So here, I don't know if you can tell the difference, but a bit of bell peppers, yeah?
Perfect. We have some people commenting on how clean your kitchen is, Alex. They think that you have a beautiful, clean kitchen.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I actually pride myself in cooking, so I like to have everything very neat and organized.
Just a reminder to all of our friends out there that are watching today, if you have any questions at all for Alex, don't forget you can raise the digital hand, clicking on the little hand icon in Zoom. We'd be happy to unmute your microphone. You can speak directly to Alex. Also, you can write any questions you may have in the chat. We'll do our best to answer any questions that come our way. So it looks like we've moved on to the
I'd
onion.
love to invite you guys to my kitchen, so make sure to raise your hand, ask some questions.
All right, so the onion goes in. So now we've got the meat browning, we've got the bell pepper, and we've got the onion.
All right, and then so the last piece as well, same with all the other vegetables, we want to make sure that they're nice and small, right? About the size of your pinky nail, and we're going to add in some olives, okay? So I've already kind of chopped some up. Give me a moment to chop these ones.
Now those are green Spanish olives, but we can substitute other types of olives.
It isn't that common that they have black olives here in Argentina. It's very common, the green olive. Exactly.
Hi, David from Germany, just joining us here. We appreciate you coming in.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everyone from Argentina, of course. If I can, I just want to say, I believe I have my mother in California watching this, and I just like to say hi to all of my friends and family. Thank you guys for joining today. I'm looking forward to cooking this for you.
Well, that's an early morning for Mrs. Ryncarz, so thanks for coming in and joining us today. We hope that your son makes you proud.
Hopefully, exactly. So here we have the small chopped olives. We're gonna add those in. And the last part, this is one of my favorites, and this is something that, being that I'm from California, we always like to have our gardens. So today we're actually going to add a bit of green onions, right? I've got my green onion plant right here. I'm gonna chop some of that off and add that into the pan as well.
I'm a big fan of green onion, Alex.
Always better if you can grow it yourself, right? Makes it simpler. Saves money too.
We have a question on our chat coming in from Beatrice. What is the difference between empanadas salteñas and empanadas Buenos Aires?
And what was the second part? I didn't hear that.
The difference between salteñas and Buenos Aires in terms of the empanadas.
Okay, so that is a great question. The idea is that more or less, being that this is such a common meal, this is such a common food that people eat, depending on the province, or in the United States, it'd be the state, depending on the province, they have their own, their own little hint to it, right? They add their own special thing. So in Buenos Aires, I think that the majority of the time, they would be baked. They wouldn't be fried. So today, the salta and the empanadas from salta, they're gonna be fried.
Awesome. And a very special message coming in now, Alex. It's Carrie Wyatt, and says your Cali girls are very proud of you. Mom number 2, Carrie and family.
Well, until Carrie, how are you doing today? Brandon's here. We're all good. Thank you for signing in. All right, so
everything's
on the stove. You're going to want to cook this more or less until the meat is about brown, right? Always better to be overcooked than undercooked. It should normally take about 10 to 15 minutes. In the original recipe that you guys will be sent at the end, don't worry, it also calls for 2 hard-boiled eggs. So with the hard-boiled eggs, normal, hard-boil them, and then you want to chop them very finely, okay? So we have all of this today, which I hope that you guys can see, but it looks amazing, right?
Wow.
So I've actually done the liberty, because if I had to do this all step by step, it would take too long to do. So normally the average time to do the entire process, let's say 1 hour. 1 hour more or less. If you have your friends, your family helping you, it could be a bit quicker. But what I've done today is I was up early preparing this. So I've actually made here's going to be the ingredients that I've already made, yeah? So what you want to do with your empanada filling, once it's all cooked, you want to take it off and you want to let this dry, or not dry, you want to let this cool down, okay? So maybe throw it in a Tupperware, put it in the fridge for about a half an hour. When we wrap this filling inside of the empanadas, or inside of the dough, it doesn't want to be hot. If it's hot, it's going to burn the dough and it doesn't cook that well.
Okay. I hope by the next time that we have to do these Zoom cooking webinars, they've created a smell feature so we can smell what your kitchen smells like.
If only you knew. If only you knew, Carson. It smells amazing in here. So what I've done as well, just while we're at this, we'll move on to the next part. But what I've done, if you can see in the background, we're going to be frying something today. So people like to fry it with olive oil. They can fry it with animal fat. Today, the typical Argentine recipe will be with animal fat. So I've already taken the liberty of getting the juices out of the fat so that we can fry it. Remember, if you're doing this with kids, this is dangerous, let's say, yeah? So make sure that your kids don't run around. We have an open flame here, so always be careful, yeah?
Perfect. Hey, Alex, we do have a question from Luca. Because of they says, is it possible to do sweet empanadas? Or is empanada salteñas only going to be the salty or savory flavors?
Exactly. So the empanada salteña is going to be the salty flavor. You can do sweet empanadas. I was looking online, and it's very similar, I believe, to the Chinese dumpling. So kind of the same sort of dough, but here we're gonna make it salty. No sweet in my house. I prefer the salty.
Probably use some jam or some nuts inside if you wanted to take the empanada dough and make it into a sweet dish.
Perfect. Okay, so again, we're going to set aside that. We're going to let it cool. So let's move on to the next part. The first part is the filling. We want to get the inside, the meats, the vegetables. And the second part, we're going to work on the dough, okay, so the bread. This is very crucial. Here in Argentina, and I imagine in other Latin American countries, you can actually buy the dough pre-made, right? So you can actually buy the wrap itself already done. But in case some of you guys in Italy, all over the world, wherever you guys are, if you're not able to buy them, I'm gonna teach you the recipe to making the bread, okay? So with the bread, I'll show you guys. A very simple recipe, okay? So normal flour. So this is flour. This is going to be multi-purpose flour, okay? And with the multi-purpose flour, we're going to add a half of a pound. So maybe let's say about 3 cups, okay? So let me show you guys.
So this is not the self-rising flour for our friends out there. This is all-purpose flour without the leavening agent inside of it. So all-purpose flour. And again, we're going to send this recipe as well. So we'll send the recipe and the ingredients.
This could as well be something that you would use to make pasta, okay? So this is the same flour that you would use to make the dough of the pasta. So we're going to add half a pound of flour, and then from there we're going to add a half a teaspoon, so very small, of salt. Now, just normal salt, any salt that you can buy at the store, yeah? And then next, we're going to add a full teaspoon, so half of salt and a full teaspoon of sugar, okay? Add some sugar. From there, we're going to add 25 grams of butter, okay? So maybe some of you guys don't know what 25 grams is. I'm not sure the measuring in your country, but it's going to be about this big, right? So not too thick, not too big, 25 grams of butter, yeah? 25 grams of butter, and then we're going to add 1 cup of water. I believe in milliliters, it would be 230 milliliters of water, yeah? So when we add that all together, this is, again, I prepared this so that I don't have to get my hands too dirty during the show, but you're going to make the bread, you're going to mix it all together, and it's more or less going to turn out like this. You're going to get a ball of dough, more or less like this. Pretty simple, right? From there, this is the key. This is the key part to making the dough for the empanada, okay? What you want to do is you want to get your dough, more or less. Here we have a nice ball. Here, I'll do it over here so you guys can see it a bit better. So you want to get your dough, yeah? You want to press it down as much as you can. And what I like to do, because you want to make it a circle, is I just grab a normal cup, any cup that you have, and you're going to, here, let's push this down a bit more. You're going to grab your cup, and you're going to kind of cut out the dough, right? So now once you have it all cut out, you should more or less have a nice circle, okay? Now this,
Alex,
as you guys can see,
we're gonna be looking for about the thickness of a lasagna noodle. Is that right?
Exactly. I was just about to get to that. And the thickness of a lasagna noodle. So remember, this is the size of the pre-bought ones, and this is the dough right now. So then from there, as you can imagine, you just kind of need to stretch it out a bit, right? Knead it a little bit. This is always fun for the kids. You know, you can have them at home, have them practice making the dough, have them practice making it a bit bigger, yeah?
Yeah, kids love working with dough. This is a great opportunity to get our kids involved.
Exactly. If you're teachers as well, this is a great activity for them, you know, pass on the recipe and see if they can make it at home. I imagine that, you know, we're all at home right now and the kids are probably bored, so you can maybe give them an assignment to make some food, yeah?
Pasqualina from Italy has come on and said, can you cook the empanadas also in a static oven? The answer is yes. You can bake the empanada as well. We've included those directions on the recipe that we'll be sending. So just on a lightly greased baking sheet and then inside of a regular oven. So we give you both the frying recipe and the baked recipe. And again, we are going to send the full recipe, including this beautiful empanada dough, is going to be coming to you after the webinar today.
Exactly. So that is going to be the dough. Again, you're going to want it about this big here. Let's see. Can we see? There we go. So you're going to want it not too thick, maybe the half of your fingernail thickness. So maybe 1 or 2 centimeters, right? Kind of thin, okay? So we're going to
Alex, I've never seen anybody with so many cutting boards. You have this beautiful collection of cutting boards. How do you have so many cutting boards?
So there's actually a weekend open street fair that's obviously been closed for the moment, but there's a street fair in my area, and here in Argentina, I have this question. Do I buy plates or do I buy cutting boards? For me, the cutting boards work for everything, so I prefer cutting boards in my house. So I've got sets of circles, I've got sets of squares, big ones, small ones, for every occasion.
Amazing.
All right, so we will move on here. We'll go to the filling, okay? So this is gonna be the most important part. So what you wanna do, you wanna take the filling that you've already let cool a bit. You're gonna take the filling and you're gonna put 1 spoonful, not too much, okay? So as you guys can see here, not too much, right? Enough so that you can still close the dough, okay? So the best way to do this, in a moment, get myself organized here. So the best way to take care of this is the following, okay? So what you're gonna wanna do is you're going to want to wet the sides of the dough, okay? So let me grab some water. So when you wet the sides of the dough, this is actually going to make it stick a bit easier, okay? So we're gonna take it and we're going to fold it just as if it was like a taco maybe, yeah? And what you wanna do here, this is the key part. So you're gonna fold it and you're gonna push it together. Yeah, so it's nice and flat on all of the sides. Okay, and this is the part where you can get creative. Okay, this is the part where the kids can have a lot of fun. It is in English, more or less, it translates, I believe, to the border. Okay, so the border of the empanada is very typical. Carson, I think maybe you have a screen. Perfect, exactly. So as you can see, there are a bunch of different types of empanada that you can do. How they do them here is depending on the border is going to be what type of empanada you make. So if you have a chicken empanada, it will be a different border than a meat empanada or a ham and cheese empanada, right? So they're all very different. So here, let's see. So once we go back to this, again, what we're gonna wanna do is we're going to want to wet the outsides, okay? When we wet the outsides, just a little bit. You don't wanna push down with the water, just get it slightly wet, and that helps the sticking aspect, okay? So let's see if I can do this here. What you wanna do first is take one corner, fold it in, okay? From there, you push the outside and then fold it in. You squeeze the outside so it gives you just a little bit of a point and you fold it in. You squeeze the outside, fold it in. Squeeze the outside, fold it in, yeah? So this is going to give you a nice ridged effect on your empanadas. And this is going to give you the classical Argentine look of how the empanadas go. So here, let's see, we're almost done here. So exactly, pinch, fold, pinch, fold, pinch, fold. The more you do this, the better you'll get. I've been making empanadas not that many years, maybe 1 or 2 years, so I'm not the best at it. But I have friends that can do this whole process in 3 seconds, right? And then, so this is how, let's see. This is how your empanada is going to look at the end, right? So you're going to have this nice little border on the outside.
I think that's pretty good for a beginner.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So once we have these, I've actually already made a few for us. So once we have these, here, let's see. Here are some other versions that you guys can already see, yeah? So the outside of the border kind of gives that little spiral effect. And then what you want to do from there is, as I mentioned before, I've already started to cook, I've already started to fry some oil so that we can get these fried. Give me a moment to turn this on.
I think that's such a cool fact that really the border of the empanada tells the story. So, you know, the border is going to tell you what's going to be inside of it. So whether it's like a seafood or it's a chicken or cheese or something like that, that's really incredible. I'm used to seeing all empanadas that look almost the same without differences, but the idea of having different borders are really unique. That's really awesome.
You know, it's something that as well, you know, this is the typical empanada from Salta, the region of Salta or the province of Salta. But this is something where, you know, there's a family recipe from my great-great-great-great-grandmother who taught all the way down how to do the border, right? How to do, in Spanish, it's the repolga. But that's the thing is, you know, some people like to do it simply like that. Some people like to do triangles. Some people can do whatever they want. But typically here it's brought down through the generation. So if I'm doing this, if I'm making this border here, that is because, if I'm doing this border here, that is because my great-grandmother taught me when I was 2 years old, and I've been making them my entire life.
What a beautiful story. Yeah, guys, great opportunity to remind you that if you have any questions today for Alex, go ahead and hit that digital hand button on Zoom webinar. We'd love to get you onto our call today to ask the questions. We've had a lot of great questions coming in through the chat. I think we've answered most of them today. But we're excited. We're getting towards the end here. We're going to fry up our empanadas and we're going to get a chance to see our final product. But we still have plenty of time there for questions. If you just want to go ahead and raise your hand, we'll be happy to get you on board.
Yes, please. I would love to invite you guys to my kitchen all the way in Argentina.
A lot of people are getting hungry now. Everybody is anxiously waiting at this.
I can honestly imagine, you know. Here, I'm going to show you guys one more time the process of making the border, just so that we can get it nice and clear, okay? So again, from the outside, we fold one tip in, and then you squeeze it. From there, this little point, same, and then squeeze. So pinch, fold. That's going to be the process. Pinch, fold, pinch, fold, pinch, fold, pinch. And remember, always kind of get the borders a bit wet so that it helps the dough to stick together. If you don't get it wet, that's fine as well, yeah? Let's see, so we're gonna do one more, almost done. And then on the last part, you know, some people like to leave it like this. Oh goodness, here, let me get that wood so you can see it a bit better. Some people like to leave it open on the end, but I always like to fold it in just in case, yeah? So your finished product should look like that, yeah? All right, so from here, very simple. Remember, the oil's been heating, so it's already ready to go, okay? What we wanna do is we wanna make sure to maybe fry it, I'd say 45 seconds to a minute, okay? So it's a really quick frying process. You don't want it to get
Alex,
too
we do have a
brown.
question here from Pablo. Hi, Pablo.
Good morning, Pablo. Welcome to my kitchen.
Hello, everyone. I have a question. How much time do, do you have to fry the empanadas, and how much time it have to be in the oven?
Exactly. So let's see. In the oven, it's going to be at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is Celsius, but 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to be probably about 10 to 15 minutes. You're looking for a nice brown on the top is what you're going for with the oven cooking.
We would convert that to 175 degrees centigrade. So 175 centigrade, 15 to 20 minutes until it's beautifully golden brown.
Exactly. And for the frying, you want to do it a minute and a half, maybe even less, okay? The frying, it depends on if it's heated, but it goes really quick. So as you guys can see, I've just put them in and they're already done, okay? So the frying is really quick, yeah?
Yeah, don't forget, we've already cooked our filling completely. So now we're just making sure that we're cooking the empanada dough. So it'll be real quick to that golden brown. Thanks for the question, Pablo.
Exactly. So the thing is that, you know, the inside is already cooked. The meat's already been cooked. All the vegetables have already been sauteed. Everything's good. So now just the main thing is you just want to give it a really quick, you know, 30 seconds more or less on the inside of the fryer to get that nice golden brown color. So here we have the outsides, as you guys can see, nice and golden brown. These ones I even left in too long, right? So these ones are a bit, even though it was 20 seconds, it was too much. But earlier this morning, I made some other ones. And as you can see, this is the golden brown that you're looking for, yeah? So as you can see, you have the meat on the inside, you have the vegetables, and this nice golden brown coating on the outside.
They look incredible, Alex. They look so good. How much, with the filling that we're making, how many empanadas do you think that's going to make in terms of,
so
we're looking at a dozen or so?
More than that, I'd say. You know, with all of this that I have left over right here, I could probably make another 20 empanadas. The recipe calls, the exact recipe is going to be 24 empanadas. And whenever you're doing this, I want to remind you guys that whenever you're putting it in, I know it's like a taco, you know, some of us, we're at home, we're getting hungry, we want to eat this right now, but you don't want to put in too much, right? You want to put in a small amount. If you add too much filling on the inside, it's very difficult to get the closing on the outside. So it's always better to start off with less filling and then move up as you gradually can work the dough better, if that makes sense.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. Hey, let's see those empanadas once again. Show us those finished products so everybody can get a look, and let's see one of the insides of them
exactly.
too.
I'll open one of these hot ones up. Oh goodness, you guys have no idea.
I can't imagine.
If only you guys were here, I would be more than happy to share all of these empanadas with you guys. Here's going to be the inside, the outside, a nice brown coating as well. Here, let me show you these ones as well. As I'm sure you guys can imagine, I'll be eating empanadas for the next week. I've got so many.
I think the nice thing too with empanadas is that you can make it yourself too. You can be creative. So you can use your own spices inside. You can change up the meat. You can add a little bit of cheese if you want. We've had somebody say they want maybe to try something sweet with like a pie filling or some nuts inside or some fruits. So I think it's really a wonderful recipe. Hey, we do have a few questions coming in now. Let's see if we can get Monica to join us here. Hi, Monica.
Good morning, Monica.
Use the microphone.
Hello. Can
Good
you
morning.
please repeat once more the recipe for the dough?
For the dough, perfect. So we will send this out to you guys, but we're going to do a half pound of all-purpose flour. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of sugar, a half teaspoon of salt, 1 cup or 230 milliliters of water, and 25 grams of butter. 25 grams of butter, I'll show you guys again, more or less this amount, yeah? So not too much butter, but a good amount. Thank you so much for your question, Monica.
And don't forget, everybody that's out there watching us today, we're going to send those full recipes with all those measurements and step-by-step instructions coming your way just a little bit after we conclude today's webinar. Well, this has been so nice, and thank you for welcoming us into your kitchen, Alex. Everybody really seems to be enjoying it here. Everybody's commenting on how great they look. I wish we could taste them. I wish we could smell them. But what a simple recipe that we can be able to make and enjoy on our own at home. So thanks once again for agreeing to do this. We hope that you guys in Argentina stay safe, and we hope that we all get to resume our passion for travel in the very near future.
That's the idea. You know, while we're at home right now, that's the main thing I'd say. Stay at home, stay safe, you know, make sure to take care of your loved ones and so on. Help out if you can. I would like to give a big thank you, myself and all of us at Paseos. We really want to thank you, Carson, and all of the MLA team for inviting us and having us today here on your webinar. It's an amazing experience.
It's a pleasure. At MLA, our commitment is to provide these free webinars, during this difficult time. Don't forget, coming next week, we have our teacher training webinars that happen every Wednesday. Those are what we call MLA Talk Time. It's free teacher training courses to any teacher around the world that is struggling with online lessons or looking for some creative lesson starting ideas. We're starting a brand new series next week for ESP, English for Special Purposes, and having a lot of fun with that. Thursdays, a special webinar specifically for our students and our young people out there. It's our MLA Chit Chat Club. Yesterday, we had a great excursion to a farm in Tennessee. Next week, we have the director of our MLA New York campus coming on with our sports director from the UK, Shane, who's going to join us. And then we're going to come back to the kitchen next Friday with MLA's Kitchen episode, and that's going to be from Malta. It's one of our regional sales directors who's going to be presenting a sweet treat next weekend from her kitchen in Malta. So we really appreciate everybody for sharing a part of their day with us. Special thanks to Alex and our friends down at Paseos in Argentina. From all of us to all of you, thanks for sharing a part of your day with us. We hope you have a great weekend and you stay safe.
You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy.